Evening everybody, Silverbolt here, back for a Transformers review. Going to be doing, obviously, as per the title page, Dinobot from Beast Wars. Now when it came to this video, I mean, obviously, you know, for now the Technobots are pretty much done and dusted till I can get a new light speed, as I explained in my RC video. And for this video, I didn't quite know what I wanted to do. I didn't know whether I was going to do Cybertron Prime or whether I was going to do Armada Starscream, whether I was going to do Dinobot, because they're three reviews that I've wanted to do for a long time. It's just I never thought about doing them. And then so I actually went to grab Armada Starscream's review, and I saw this guy and thought, right, that's it, I'm doing Dinobot. Because Dinobot is something Dinobot is just simply one of those characters, which I will get into now. Now, Dinobot is a Predacon. Now, most people, I imagine, who are watching this will have seen some version of Beast Wars, but if not, then to explain, the Maximals and the Predacons are the descendants of the Cybertronians. Well, they're Cybertronians, they're descendants of the Autobots and the Decepticons. And to give you a bit of backstory where Beast Wars is concerned, way into the future, it's set in the G1 continuity era, as is very obvious from seasons 2 and 3 of Beast Wars, and Cybertron is once again come back to life in some degree, shape or form. So it's probably after the second golden age of Cybertron, which occurs at the end of the Rebirth, going by chronological start of Series 4 of Transformers G1, moving straight to Beast Wars. Now the Predacons and the Maximals are much more efficient Transformers. I mean, one of the great contentions concerning what happens with Cybertron, which I've explained in a previous video, though for the life of me I can't remember which one it was, is that the Cybertronians that we know, as in the Autobots and Decepticons, are very fuel inefficient. They use an awful lot of fuel for what they do. Then came the Micromasters, who were much more fuel efficient and much smaller. Now, whether the Maximals and the Predacons are as a direct result of the Micromaster technology, I don't know. However, one thing is very clear: they are much smaller than their G1 counterparts, being probably along the same sizes of the animal forms that they inhabit. Now, Dinobot is a Predacon, which is the descendant of the Decepticons. And at this point in Cybertron's history, the Decepticons are very much an alliance with the Autobots. Well, not an alliance, but they've almost been subjugated. And whilst the Predacons have never quite forgotten the error of their ways and their past glories in nearly destroying the Autobots, at the moment they're entering an uneasy truce. This is broken by Megatron, when Megatron, by a Predacon who takes on the namesake of Megatron, who steals some golden discs. Dinobot, at this point in time, is his second in command. And they are chased by the Maximal group, by the Maximal Scientific Exploration group aboard the Axelon, where they end up on Earth. Dinobot, who has already, had a little bit of about enough of Megatron, basically says, "You're an idiot," and gets lost. Now, the reason for this is not because... It'd be apparent quite almost straight away that Dinobot is almost a Starscream-esque character. Well, we won't go into the paradox that occurs within the with Starscream in Beast Wars. That's a different story altogether. In that he abandons his leader at the first sign of opportunity and goes and makes an alliance with his enemies. But it's not that at all, as later events will show. Dinobot is a warrior. And he is an honourable warrior, and he believes in the Predacon cause, but above that, he believes in the lives of the Cybertronians as a whole, both Predacon and Maximal. Dinobot leaves because he thinks that Megatron has actually crashed on the wrong planet. A storyline that will become apparent. Now, what I don't want to do is I don't want to give the whole story of Beast Wars to you, because it's going to be a 45-minute video before we've even started talking about Dinobot if I go into the Beast Wars saga. So I'm going to mostly to see how it revolves around Dinobot. The stealing of the discs is quite important to Dinobot's story. Dinobot then goes and confronts the Maximals, and his plan there is to defeat Optimus Primal, take over command of the Maximals, and use them to suit his own ends. Primal defeats Dinobot in a one-on-one battle, and saves his life in the juncture, thus earning Dinobot's respect for Primal. And Dinobot, somewhat begrudgingly you might argue, does join the Maximals, where when Rhinox isn't busy doing something silly with the computer, he is the Maximals' muscle, because he is a warrior. And Beast Wars does tend to keep the idea going that you get in G1 and you get in Transformers Animated that, well, these Autobots and Maximals that are currently fighting, well, they're not fighters. You know, they're just people who ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time. Dinobot is a distinction against that, in he is a warrior. He is all warrior, and he's a very, very good one. And he has a martial code of honor. So whilst at the start of the series, he's very much the Predacon with his let's go kill things kind of style. It does come, especially when you start to see the start of Series 2, Dinobot tends to get a lot of character developments. And it's one of the things in Beast Wars that has made Beast Wars into probably into arguably the best Transformers series that there is. Because unlike so many of the other series, Beast Wars has a lot of character developments in it. The initial characters that are at the start of Beast Wars are very, very different to when it comes to things like the end of Season 3 and Beast Machines. I mean, G1 had virtually, as much as I love the cartoon, you could really argue that it didn't have an awful lot of character development thrown into it. Optimus Prime was all very good and noble. Prowl was very much a thinker. Trax was very arrogant. Megatron was quite ruthless. Starscream was quite ruthless and cowardly and treacherous. And they didn't very much leave the folds of the characters that they were portraying. Beast Wars really does take that mould and throw it on its head in the way the characters develop. There are very notable distinctions in Beast Wars of the people that develop. Cheetor is one of them, who goes from the eager-to-prove rookie to basically someone who turns around to Primal and Beast Machines and says, get the hell up off your arse and help us. Rat Trap's another one. Rat Trap is very much the out for all he can get Maximal. By the end of it, he's pretty much running things. And even by Beast Machines, when Rat Trap doesn't have a weapon, and he feels that he's not useful to the Maximals anymore because he can't fight. So, and Dinobot is no exception. He also gains an awful lot of character development. And you go from the Predacon hack slash beat the snot out of stuff all the way through to Dinobot's conflicting allegiances, and you find an awful lot about him. And Dinobot's actually a fan of Shakespeare. And he knows Shakespeare. And his main loyalty, despite being a Predacon and despite working with the Maximals, is to his own sense of self-honour. And he does things that stand by his moral conscience. And as time goes on, he does become very much attached to the Maximal team, and he becomes part of the Maximals. And by the end of it, he is a Maximal, like it or not. But his tendency towards violence, because he is very much a smack 'em hard and then ask questions later kind of person, does cause rifts, especially with Primal. And then again later with Tigatron, because of course Tigatron's a pacifist. Dinobot completely doesn't understand this in the slightest and almost becomes quite violent. His closest relationship within the Maximals, though, has got to be with Rat Trap. And Rat Trap and Dinobot have a very much love-hate relationship. They insult each other and degrade each other no end throughout the entire of the Beast Wars series. But they do genuinely care for them. Now then, once Dinobot... They do genuinely care for each other, sorry. Now, once Dinobot does realise that the golden discs are a record, and that it becomes the fore in seasons 2 and 3 of what Megatron is actually up to with these golden discs. He wants to change the course of the future. Dinobot will not allow this. He will not allow this for any way, shape or form, because he will not allow the Cybertronian race to be destroyed. That's one of the reasons why he wants to... He joins with the Maximals. I don't want to, as I said, I don't want to go too much into the story of Beast Wars, mainly because if anyone hasn't seen it, and I would highly recommend it, then I don't want to ruin too much of the storyline for you. Dinobot, throughout Series 1 and 2, very much fights alongside the Maximals. Towards Series 3, however, once more of Megatron's plans have come about, Dinobot begins to doubt himself, and he gets very, very worried about the things that's going on, and it leads him to actually turn back to Megatron. And he joins Megatron, he rejoins the fold of Megatron. Megatron... I completely forgot what I was going to say. BRB. Right, back. Yes, I've regained my composure, and you know my mind has no longer gone blank. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes, Dinobot rejoins Megatron. And it's because of this, he rejoins Megatron, and Megatron welcomes him to the fold. This is after the golden discs of what he believes have been destroyed. Dinobot rejoins Megatron so that he can find out for himself exactly what's going on. And once he does rejoin Megatron, he sees something that shakes him to his very core. Megatron blasts a mountain with his weapon. That mountain is on an image of the golden disc. When Megatron has finished firing, the top of the mountain is gone. The disc changes to suit that image. Dinobot then realizes that he has his own choice to make. He can make one of Dinobot's biggest issues was he was very worried that no matter what he did, he wasn't changing anything. Now knowing that the future was not set, he could change it, he realised he had his own choice to make. He could do what he wanted to do. But he also realised that Megatron, because of this disc, because of the information Megatron had, was virtually unstoppable. Megatron, as a test of loyalty, forced Dinobot to fight with Quick Strike. Quick Strike lost to Dinobot, but Dinobot refused to kill him. Rat Trap had discovered that Dinobot had rejoined Megatron and attacked. He was very quickly immobilised, and Megatron ordered Dinobot to kill Rat Trap as a last allegiance, as a last proof of his allegiance to the Deprticon cause. Dinobot couldn't do it. He couldn't kill his friend. Because despite the love-hate relationship that these two had, there's been two instances, if I can recall, in Beast Wars. One where it looks like Dinobot's dead, and one where it looks like Rat Trap's dead. Both times, the other half of this little duo, I wanted to say old married couple, but it didn't quite fit, with one being a robot rat and one being a robot dinosaur, have shown considerable grief at the idea that the other might be dead. So Dinobot can't kill Rat Trap, and he doesn't. Dinobot then rejoins the Maximals, but up until the very, very end, Dinobot is never really trusted again by the Maximals, even though they're willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, helped in no uncertain terms by what Silverbolt says. They never really trust him again. Though it doesn't really, you don't really see an awful lot of that tension. You don't see an awful lot of it between Rat Trap and Dinobot, apart from even more sarky comments towards the other. This brings us on to Dinobot's crowning episode, and it has been widely regarded by most people as one of the most powerful episodes of Transformers ever. Now, Beast Wars is notorious for its very powerful, very dramatic, very moving episodes. The most moving moments in all Transformers will pretty much always have the number one top spot of Optimus Prime dying, of Optimus Prime's death scene in Transformers the movie. But Beast Wars and its motions come a very close second. The episode with Transmutate, for instance, very, very powerful episode. As I've said in a previous video, Beast Wars has some really, really powerful moments within it. And it's one of the reasons why it is regarded by a lot of people, even G1ers, as the best Transformers series there is, and I would personally agree. I think it is quite possibly, story-wise, I mean, the animation can be a bit dodgy, but let's face it, that's a trademark of Transformers anyway, but character-wise and storyline-wise and the emotion that Beast Wars can evoke, I would go argue that yes, it quite possibly is one of the best series of Transformers, that it is the best series of Transformers. But it brings us to the most iconic, probably the most iconic episode of Beast Wars, and that is the episode Code of a Hero. And it focuses almost singly on Dinobot. Dinobot by the point of Code of the Hero, Dinobot has realised that his future is not fixed. And he sums it up with a very interesting quote. "The question that has haunted me, my being, has been answered. The future is not fixed. My choices are my own, and yet ironic, for I now find I have no choice at all. I am a warrior, let battle be joined." Quite moving, isn't it? As I said, Dinobot seems to have very much a fondness for Shakespeare. Not the only one who does, of course, because Skybite and RID seem to develop a fondness for Shakespeare. Now, Dinobot finds the Predacons, using the power of the Golden Discs, have found the valley of the lot of the first set of humans. Megatron resolves that he is going to wipe them out completely, thus preventing the humans ever becoming involved in the Transformers War, which could very well change the entire history of it. Dinobot goes in alone, and he knows what's going to happen to him. He knows he is not going to survive it, and he fights very, very valiantly against all of them, and he defeats all of the Predacons that are assembled there. He saves the humans, but in his weakened state, he is no match for Megatron at all. Dinobot refuses to be beaten though. With his last bit of strength, Dinobot gets a stone, sticks it in a big stick, smashes the disc out of Megatron, the golden disc out of Megatron's pincery tail thingy, and with the last bit of energy, destroys it, thus stopping Megatron's plan. The Maximals arrive too late to save him, and it's a very, very moving moment where Dinobot is concerned in his death. Dinobot's last words are, tell my tale to those who ask. Tell it truly, the ill deeds along with the good, and let me be judged accordingly. The rest is silence." And thus Dinobot dies, with a full Maximal funeral. Something that Prime didn't get. You know, he got a full funeral. Prime didn't get that. Prime just went dunk, and I'm out of it. Dinobot got a full funeral, and as I said, it is one of the most powerful Transformers episodes ever. It really is an absolutely awesome episode. You know, you're talking, there's not a dry eye in the house when that episode is played, because it really is just so poignant for such a loved character. And I've whiffled on about Dinobot's character, Dinobot's story, a bit too much now, but there's one thing I want to add. His death. And it's been a source of contention with fans ever since. Is that throughout the series of Generation 1 and 2, of Series 1 and 2, of Beast Wars, other Predacons, Waspinator in particular, sustain much more gruesome damage than Dinobot does in the episode Code of a Hero. But they don't die. You know, they go into stasis lock. And it's led to the idea that Dinobot's death is because of the damage he was taking. It wasn't the damage that killed him specifically. It was the energy he was losing because of his wounds. I mean, his own internal computer turned around and said, get into stasis lock. Dinobot refused. He overrode it more than once in order to keep fighting. So whilst the injuries that he gains are not specifically the ones that kill him, they're not the sole factor. They helped, but it was the energy depletion of Dinobot that did it. Okay, that's enough of a walk down memory lane. I'm hoping I haven't bored you. I really hope I haven't where Dinobot is concerned, because he is just such a great character. Now, onto this toy. Now, this toy is the Hasbro 10-year anniversary edition of Dinobot. Now, the first one was some weird, it was the exact same toy as this, but it was some weird pink and white thing, and it was pretty gruesome. It looked like something that Slanesh would have in his armies. Quick Games Workshop reference for you. And so there we go. And so this one is supposed to be more in style with his cartoon, but again, it's Hasbro, so it tends to fail fairly well. The Takara one that Takara released a year later to mark their 10th anniversary of Beast Wars is much more show accurate to it. He is supposed to be a Velociraptor, or at least pretend to be a Velociraptor, but he's not. He's more on the lines of an Utahraptor, or something. I think that's what they're called, an Utahraptor. Sorry, random dog growling. Because, of course, he is missing the distinctive Velociraptor hinge claws. So, he's not really a true Velociraptor, though he's always depicted as one. Though he is very much, of course, one more thing about Beast Wars, Dinobot's character. He does come back. He's cloned by Megatron into a Transmetal too. But, seeing as the Dinobot that we all know and love died, we're not going to go there. And that version of Dinobot was very much a Velociraptor because it did have the very signature claw on the foot. Okay then. As a dinosaur, well, it's not very realistic. For a start, it's got a glowing green abdomen. And he looks pregnant. So, there we go. Okay then. Comes with a gimmicky weapon. Okay, so you pull the tail off. And you can just pull out this sword that's here. That's internal. And you get Dinobot's shield, which spins. And I'm whacking off my knuckles as we speak. Okay? And that becomes his hand shield. And then, of course, we get his very signature serrated sword. Which in the cartoon, of course, spins. But obviously the toy one doesn't. Okay then. Putting him into robot mode. Make sure the tail, the bit that connects the tail, is pointed upwards. And then you can just pull the legs down. And I believe, yes, you turn them round. Pull out the pegs underneath. It's actually, for Transformers toys, it's actually, to get the pegs out, the back piece, the pegs and the toys, it's actually very, very easy. Because the way it's hinged. I mean, usually, you know, you're fiddling with them for ages. The arms move down on hinges, and the headpiece slots in. Got a horribly sneaking suspicion I'm doing this wrong. Actually, no, I don't think I am. And the legs, with a bit of moulding, become his hands, and then you just turn the head and you have Dinobot transformed into his robot mode. Okay, like all the early Beast Wars, Dinobot has two heads. The mutant head, which never features in the cartoon, and the normal robot head, which is there, and in all fairness doesn't actually bear a huge striking resemblance to Dinobot either, because you can't tell on this toy, but the Dinobot has a face grill, like Optimus Prime does. Whereas, of course, in the cartoon, Dinobot has very sharp teeth in his mouth, and in his dinosaur mouth. Now, there has been quite a few repaints of Dinobot, a few remolds of, not remolds, recolorings of Dinobot. Of course, there is the original vaguely pink and black one, which is, you've got the 10th anniversary edition of this one. You then have the 10th anniversary edition to the Beast Wars one. There's a Dinobot minibus that I'm aware of, and of course there is the 21st anniversary, the 20th anniversary of in a deluxe form for the Universe range. And there's another one. It was another celebration of. Oh, that was it. No, it was the Japanese one. Is the one I'm thinking of. That was released through Takara. If it was Takara that released them, I can't remember now. I'm assuming it was, but I can't quite remember. The original. A lot of the original Beast Wars toys will set you back a fair deal. Get my camera back on you. A lot of the original Beast Wars toys will set you back a fair deal. Rat Trap in his original mode, as in the furry rat, giant rat, will set you back quite a fair bit. He is quite expensive. However, the 10th anniversary edition ones, Excuse me. The 10th anniversary edition ones, on the other hand, are still quite cheap and quite easy to get. And then, of course, there's the deluxe one, but I don't have the deluxe Dinobot just yet. Though I will get it at some point. Okay, that's him with his weapons attached. That's the main point of contention I have with this toy, is that I don't like the way he holds his sword. I really don't. You know, he's a warrior. He doesn't hold his sword like like Scorpion Sting from Mortal Kombat. Unfortunately, it won't stick in like that. It'll just go fall out. So, unfortunately, it does have to go in there. What the deluxe one's like for the new one, I'm not entirely sure. A nice toy, and if anyone wants to collect a Beast Wars range, I think you can do a lot worse than starting with Dinobot, because he's a character that has never been seen again, the likes of which has never been seen again. Though he does share some similarities in some ways with Armada Starscream. But Armada Starscream is for another video, and this one has gone on far too long. A very nice toy, fairly decent posability. It does have its share of problems. For one thing, the head in robot mode of the Velociraptor pokes out far too much. And then, of course, in his dinosaur mode, he's got that very "I'm pregnant with a little Martian inside me" look for that. But unfortunately, I do think it is very much a case of the toy does not do the character justice at all. It does not do the character justice at all. I would actually be in favour of a Masterpiece Dinobot, though I doubt we'd ever get that. But I would be. An excellent character, one of the best characters ever to come into any Transformers series. Dinobot is. He really is so much of an iconic character. I don't know anybody who doesn't love the character of Dinobot, because he epitomises the tragic hero. His character just epitomises it. I mean, you know, never mind your Batman, never mind Batman, who's a fallen, a tragic hero. Dinobot is, who to the very end, though it cost him his life, stood by his own code of honour, stood by his own morals, though it cost him his life. This is actually one of the most serious Transformers review I've ever done. But yes, this video has gone on far too blooming long, so for now, I'm going to say goodbye. So, this is Silverbolt with, 10th anniversary Hasbro Dinobot, signing off, saying au revoir, adios, auf Wiedersehen.